There
we go. We are live on another VanHack podcast. We are here with Jessica from All Ears English, and we're super excited to get this webinar to you guys. We know how much you guys are working hard on your IELTS exams to be able to move to Canada and get awesome jobs. So I just want to say hi to everybody. Hans, Natalia, Roberta, Marina, Giselle, Mauro, Paulo. Hope you guys are doing well. Just quickly, Mariana, you're not the only woman here. Jessica is actually
little known fact, I am also a woman. So there you go.
Yeah, we have many other women from all over the world. But let's get started, Jessica. I just want to say thank you first off for joining us. I know
my pleasure.
I'm super excited to meet you. But maybe you can kind of start off with a little bit about who you are, your background, and then of course we'll talk about All Ears English and the amazing things you guys have been doing this last year. So go ahead, Jessica, please.
So much. Oh my gosh. So this IELTS is my life. It's seriously become my full-time job. It's incredible. I'm super lucky and excited because I love my job. So what we have a podcast called IELTS Energy, and that is published 3 times a week. We've already recorded let's see, over 250 episodes are already up, and they're all free. You guys can listen at any time. We also started a YouTube channel called IELTS Energy TV, and it's just me, and it's short videos, like 3 to 6 minute videos with very specific tips. A lot of vocabulary episodes because those are the most wanted and the most liked on there, so lots of vocab. And I think what sets us apart is not only our knowledge of the test, because I have been working professionally with IELTS for going on, let's see, about 12 years now. In Taiwan, I started in Taiwan, and then I've been working in Portland with IELTS. I've written let's see, over 14 textbooks by now. Most of them are test prep textbooks. So I know test strategies inside and out. And I'm still excited about it. I could still find fun stuff to talk about related to IELTS, which I don't think most people can say.
Is that 14 books?
Yeah. Mostly published in Asia. I work for some publishers in Singapore and Taiwan. So a lot of my textbooks are there. So everything I do is online now. We do have a website with lots of free resources called IELTS.allearsenglish.com. And again, what sets us apart is our energy. That's why it's called IELTS Energy. If you listen to any other IELTS podcast or look at any other IELTS channel on YouTube, that's my dog growling in the background. He doesn't like the other IELTS teachers either. So if you look at any of that stuff, it's usually like an older dude who is really boring to listen to. And yeah, you don't learn if you're not enjoying it and engaged. So that's our mission.
Wow, and I think Erickson, that's really cool story. You got an 8 on your IELTS after listening to the IELTS Energy podcast. Congrats.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, my dog.
Yeah, your dog is
down in a second. That's amazing. Erickson, you got an 8. Oh my gosh. And you know what? When we started our project, our just amazing IELTS project that has branched off into so many directions. When we started, it was aimed at getting a 7 or higher. That's sort of the magic number everyone needs, right? To a 7. And I've actually been surprised at the number of 8s that we've seen in our students. Just last week, one of our students in Brazil got an 8.5 on her speaking. And I was like, an 8.5, that never happens. One of the students in our course, he had never taken IELTS before and just took our course, did the 30-day study plan, got an overall 8. I wasn't even expecting such amazing numbers. So yeah, it's super exciting.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Oh, Rayvon, you want me to repeat the site? So it's IELTS.allearsenglish.com.
I can
There you go.
write that.
Oh, I guess I can
IELTS.
type it in, huh?
Yeah, both work. People need to work on the
There's
listening and
so many tools.
yeah. So let's get into it. Like, tell us more. If someone, for example, never has heard of the IELTS before, or maybe they have a basic understanding of it, what are your kind of tips for someone who's just starting with the IELTS? And then maybe we can talk about some tips about someone who's already has experience, is about to take the IELTS in a couple weeks or months.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're just beginning your IELTS journey, you have to realize that it is a journey, first of all. I mean, I have after teaching IELTS for so long, I have really simple strategies for every section of the test. Like writing task 1, for example. I have a very simple 3-step system that you can use to plan and organize every possible question that IELTS throws at you. But you have to realize that IELTS is a unique test. Even if you have been through academic skills courses or have studied, made it up to the advanced level in your English language school, that doesn't mean you're ready for the IELTS exam. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you know the test. Okay, and the only way to do that is by working with an IELTS professional. So like on the podcast, we talk about how to evaluate your classes and your textbooks and your choices in preparation. Because, good Lord, with the internet, I mean, there are free resources everywhere, and you don't know what to trust, right? Or how to evaluate it. So you need to make sure that when you're choosing a way to prepare, that it's directly connected to what the examiner is looking for. All right, so you need to know the requirements to get a 7 or an 8 for fluency and coherence, for example. You need to know what the examiner is listening for in order to give you a high vocabulary score. Leonardo, you just asked if we do the general or the academic. We do both. We got it all. Don't worry. We do both. I mean, really the only difference between the general and the academic, the reading passages are a little bit easier, but the question types are exactly the same. So therefore, you need the same exact strategies as an academic candidate. And the biggest difference is writing task 1. Writing task 1 for general training is way more fun than for academic because you get to write a letter and be very creative in these details that you're inventing. Whereas task 1 for academic, it's just about graphs and numbers and it's pretty boring. Yeah. So yeah, if you're just starting, first of all, make sure you're choosing an IELTS professional to work with who you can trust. And second of all, be honest with yourself about where you are in your English level, right? Because if you're at a pre-intermediate level, I would say work on your English skills, your overall English for about 6 months before you start preparing for the exam. However, I think a lot of the people attending this webinar and a lot of the people that are working with you, Ilya, are going to be of an intermediate or higher level. Once you're at that level, you can start preparing today. Don't book the test super fast. You're not going to learn everything about IELTS in 2 weeks, for example. I would give myself a month at the least, but I recommend a strong 2-month study plan is the best way to go. So, yeah.
Awesome. So 2 months, let's, like if you're just starting out, 2 months until you're taking the IELTS, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And you need to be very organized in your IELTS preparation because I think a lot of people just sort of like pull resources from random places. Maybe they sign up for a class that happens 2 or 3 times a week, and they're really not focused on their IELTS goals. So it's a tough test. You know, you have to be honest with yourself. This is a difficult test. So you have to be organized and prepared. And keep in mind your goal. Your goal is to go to Canada and work and have an amazing job, create a new life for yourself or your family. This is a huge dream, and it's something this big doesn't come easily, right? You're not gonna like learn a magic key and be able to walk into IELTS and be like, boom, done, nailed it. Like, you need to work hard. So that's why I've created a study plan. One is 30 days, one is 60 days, and 5 to 6 days a week. There are very specific activities that you have to do. One is always related to the testing strategies, and then the other activity is aimed at improving your overall English ability. So, because you do need both, of course, for the test.
Nice, nice. How many hours do you think people would need to really, like, in your study plan, how many hours should you put aside? Like 5, 10, 20? Is there a maximum you should be studying, or just as much as possible?
Yeah, our study plan is created with the aim of having 2 to 4 hours a day of practice. You know, any more than that, and it stops being beneficial after a certain point. You know, you hit that Ozzy, come. I have an awesome dog who's very protective, as you can hear, and he's enormous. So I'm very safe. Just in case anyone's worried, I'm safe. So if you try and prepare, I mean, I've seen students do this. You know, they buy a grammar book and a vocabulary book, and they work with these books for like 5 hours a day. They make hundreds of pages of vocabulary lists. They have a stack like this of vocabulary cards. And at the end of the day, can they use any of this vocabulary? You know what I mean? Can they reproduce these sentences from the 50th grammar worksheet? No, you guys, I promise you, I have been teaching English, specifically IELTS, for so long. Like, I see what works and what doesn't. You know, I know the habits of successful students. And these students don't waste their time, right? So that's why on our study plan, don't do more than you have to do, because you're actually going to end up hurting your score in the long run. Anytime you're like this focused, like you're using all of your brain to like learn and engage with something, max of 4 hours a day, and you need at least a day off a week where you don't do anything with IELTS. So your brain has a chance to sort of reset, refresh yourself before you dive back into the studies. Because, like I said, it's not easy, you guys. I require a lot from my students. I ask them to work very hard and really challenge themselves, because that's the only way you're going to improve your score, right? You have to go beyond that plateau, that level that you're comfortable at. So I do require a lot from my students, but again, efficiently. So we're using our time well.
Nice, nice. That's good to hear. And yeah.
I'm just reading some comments about my dog. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Guillermo, is that how you say it? He said, is he barking in English? Oh, that's fantastic. The answer is yes. He has a very large vocabulary. You know, he's my dog. I'm just kidding. Yeah, fantastic. So definitely, if you're looking to prepare for IELTS, my most basic advice to sum up is you need a plan. So go ahead and book your test date. You know, whether it's 2 months from now or 5 months from now, book it, get that date and that time, and then you have something to work back from, right? You have a way to organize your study plan. If any of you guys, I know some of you guys listen to our podcast already, then you'll know what a big fan I am of lists and notes and being very organized. So really, that's the only way to tackle something as huge as the IELTS exam.
Nice, nice, awesome. So what about someone who's got the IELTS coming up? So Jefferson, he's actually a member of VanHack Pro. Hi, Jefferson. He's got the IELTS coming up in, I think, 3 weeks. So he's kind of in crunch time. What do you recommend for someone like him who's got like less than a month to really nail it?
Go ahead and look at the 30-day study plan, and you can condense it. You know, if you're willing to really push yourself, don't take the break days. I mean, there are break days in there. Instead, just every day, maybe take a break, you know, every other week, or take 2 days off, because you do need that. But you can condense it and just take out all the rest days, and you can just hit that preparation every day. So yeah, it is possible. If you already have a high level of English, then that's half the battle, right? You need both for the IELTS exam. You need a high level of English, and you need these testing strategies. So if you already have the high level, you can just tackle the testing strategies, right? And you could fit that into 3 weeks for sure.
Nice. That's some great advice. I think people energy, we can see why it's an energy, or IELTS energy is the name of the
I can't help it. I'm always like this. This is the way I am. Let's see. We have a question from Leonardo. He says, I usually listen to the news on the radio in English. Do you think this can help me improve my listening skills? For sure. Yeah, definitely. Anything you are listening to or watching or reading that is created for native speakers, that's how you're going to push yourself to that 7 level. Let me tell you guys the difference between a 6 and a 7, okay? A 6 student is fine. Like, they're just fine. Like, they've taken an IELTS course, they've studied, you know, they know some vocabulary like increase and decrease. They can communicate whatever they want to say, great. But they're just a student. You understand? Like, I'm talking to these people or reading their essays, and I can see, okay, well, you're a student. Like, you've tried, good try. So that's a 6. A 7 student stands apart. A 7 student is above a 6 student because they are using native speaker slang. They are expressing ideas that they heard on the radio that morning in English, right? So this is why when I teach students, we're focused on making them interesting. That sounds terrible, but we're focused on how to use their strengths and their personalities to set themselves apart from the other students. Think about it like this. I mean, an examiner on any given Saturday, an examiner must talk to between 10 to 20 candidates. By the time you reach candidate 15, you are so tired of hearing the same vocabulary words and the same answers like over and over again, you know? And really, you need to wake that examiner up. Even just like laughing at yourself, or just sort of chuckling and throwing in an idiom like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed, my mind just went blank. Can you ask me that question again? Just sort of being, having this natural confidence. And that's something that we worked really hard on in our course, was to add this level of confidence for you guys, because we know that being nervous and feeling scared, like, this is one of the biggest killers on test day. It can just ruin you no matter what preparation you've done. So we have a whole module called the anti-anxiety module, which I'm super proud of. And then at the end of every module, like the reading module, the listening module, we have a moment of Zen. It's just awesome. And it's just a chance to, like, you know, it's a short video with me. And I'm like, you know, congratulations, you guys have worked so hard. This is what you've learned so far. Now it's time to take a little break. And there's some sort of like breathing exercise, or like envisioning exercise to strengthen your confidence. It's complete and fantastic.
That's great. Marcus, I think, has a good question about the speaking test. How is that test? Is it like an interview, or is it like a normal conversation? What's the interview actually like?
Oh, great. Yeah. So it's in 3 parts, and the whole thing lasts less than 14 minutes. Okay. So examiners are required to keep very careful track of the time. So the whole test is between 11 to 14 minutes. And that is such a short time of your life. And if you could just bring this like amazing confidence and pronunciation for that short time, you can totally do it. Okay, so it's in 3 parts. Part 1, easy questions. They're all about you. They're personal. So it always starts with questions either about your home, your hometown, or your work or studies. Okay? Every single test starts with a group of questions about those topics. That's why that vocabulary is necessary, because you're going to have to talk about that. And then there'll be 2 more topics, and they're super general, like what do you do when you hang out with friends? I noticed that someone's asking about the slang, and I wanted to talk about that. I start using a lot of slang, and I try and make jokes. Rodrigo, that's fantastic. That is exactly what you should do in part 1. So, guys, in order to get a 7 or higher for vocab, you have to show interesting vocabulary and a range of vocabulary. You must give me slang and informal idioms in speaking part 1 and 2. You must, or you're not going to meet the requirements for a 7. So yes, Rodrigo, perfect. So that's part 1, easy questions. All of your answers should be 3 to 5 sentences approximately. And then part 2 is often the most stressful part for students. They're given a topic and they have to talk about this topic for 2 minutes. Patrick says, if we use slang, can you raise your score? Yes, you definitely can. And you can use slang in part 2 as well. So part 2 is also about you. These are informal topics. It would be really weird to use formal academic language to talk about riding your bicycle, right? Like I've heard students do that, and it's like, it's so awkward, and it ruins their vocabulary score. So part 2 is a 2-minute talk. You have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say and make notes, and then you have to speak for 2 minutes. Even if you think this sounds easy, try it. Okay, just try talking about anything for 2 minutes without stopping, and I promise you, at some point, you're gonna be like, and you're gonna like struggle a little bit. Even on our podcast, when we started doing part 2 episodes, my co-host Lindsay, she had a hard time filling the 2 minutes. She's like, "Am I done? Is that?" I'm like, "No, dude, it's 1:30. You got to keep going." So for part 2 especially, guys, like you need some strategies going in. This is where your preparation will help you, right? So for example, if you have to describe a person, this is a common question type. What you should do is, first of all, describe what they look like, then describe their personality, and then tell a story about the person. It's very organized, and telling stories in part 2 is the best way to keep going for the 2 minutes and to show some of your relaxed character. You sound more confident if you're like describing a good memory, right? So there's a lot that goes into these strategies, but they're all directly connected to raising your score. So that's part 2. And then in part 3, you're asked more IELTS says like abstract questions, which doesn't like, so it was super vague and doesn't really mean anything. Basically, guys, these are just questions about life in general, okay? They're not about you like part 1 and 2. So a part 3 question could be like, what are the advantages and disadvantages to air travel? Something like that. There are a lot of similarities between the vocabulary, the linking words, and the question types between speaking part 3 and writing task 2. So a lot of that preparation does overlap. So you do save some time there. But part 3, the biggest danger is students talk too much because they lose track of what they're saying, and then they end up repeating themselves and like going off on another topic. And so that's another reason why going in with a strategy helps.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. And someone, or Guillermo just asked about accents. Do you think that's a good idea for them to try and have a fake British or American accent?
That is so funny. Please don't do that.
I can just imagine.
Actually, it might be funny. Okay, so let me tell you, let me explain the pronunciation score. I'm sorry I'm laughing. I laugh all the time. I'm not laughing at your question. I'm picturing some of my students trying to sound like a British person, and it's funny. Okay, so you're not graded on your lack of or the presence of your accent, okay? IELTS is not about being perfect because nobody's perfect. Think about how many accents there are just in the States and Canada, right? Like, which one are you going to choose? It's not about accent. It's about two things. One, having clear pronunciation. So as long as the examiner can understand everything you say, you're fine. That's fine. So boom, you're already at a 6. Seriously, as long as I can understand you, 6 for pronunciation. And this is the easiest way to raise your score. To go from a 6 to a 7 in pronunciation, you simply have to put some emotion and drama in your voice. Okay? So a good way to do that, one sort of go-to strategy, is by trying to talk about things that you're passionate about. For example, if I were taking the test, I would try and talk about my son and my work and soccer. Those are the 3 things that I'm most passionate about. So if I could somehow work those into my answer, my pronunciation would improve. And so would my confidence level, right? Because you're talking about something that you feel good about. Okay, so yeah. Definitely. We just need clear speech and emotion, like personality, just like I have when I talk.
Now, tell us about soccer. I think some people will be interested in your thoughts on soccer. Are you an MLS fan or a Premier League?
Heck yeah. I am a Timbers fan all the way. I grew up playing soccer. In fact, I tore my ACL last summer in a soccer game, so that's why I haven't played for a year. And I want to play again so badly. But I'm a huge, huge Timbers fan. I've been to 2 games this season already, sitting in the Timbers Army, they're called, and it's just like hundreds of people that know all the songs and the chants, and everybody's like, yeah, it's awesome. I love it so much.
For everyone to know, because I don't think everyone's here has heard of the Timbers, and this is a side note, but I think it's relevant for our audience here. You guys all are, I'm not going to generalize, but Brazilians, you guys like soccer. Although some you probably don't even care. But Portland, right? That's where you're from.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the Timbers. Sorry, yeah, I didn't hear you.
I'm just saying the Portland Timbers. It's a team from Portland for everyone to know.
Yeah. And they won the MLS Cup championship last year. So some would say the best team in the MLS.
Okay. Cool. I didn't even know that. We have for everyone who wants to move to Vancouver or Toronto, there's the Toronto FC and then Vancouver Whitecaps, right? So anyway,
don't support them. There's an interesting rivalry in the Pacific Northwest between the Vancouver Whitecaps, the Seattle Sounders, and the Portland Timbers. It's like a local rivalry thing. So I have to not like the team. Sorry, don't want to offend anyone.
But guys, if you do move to Vancouver, Whitecaps, okay. Anyway, let's get back to IELTS.
So Guillermo just said he has a bad habit. When he speaks in English, he sounds like Scarface.
Say hello to my little friend.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. Oh my god, that's hilarious. You know what? Guillermo, how would you say that, Olivia?
Guillermo.
Oh, Guillermo. Just from reading your comments, if you could bring like 50% of this personality and confidence into the IELTS exam, you're gonna kill it, dude. Seriously, you're gonna like brighten that examiner's day, because the examiner's like, just like, I'm painting it like it's a horrible job. It's not. It's an awesome job, but the examiner is like just tired, you know. And then if some like pizzazz comes in the room, the examiner wakes up, and the examiner's like, oh, fantastic. Like, I'm already in a 7 mind frame because you are an interesting student.
And if you use the word pizzazz, I think you'll be very impressed.
Totally.
You'll be impressive.
For sure, for sure. Let's see. So Rodrigo says, do I have to be worried about the total time I spend on the speaking time? Like if it takes less than 20 minutes? Oh, okay. Yeah, just to remind you, the speaking test is only 11 to 14 minutes, and the examiner keeps super, super tight control of the time. You do not have to worry about the time at all, okay? Just follow the examiner's lead. So, for example, if you're talking too long, oh, maybe he meant 2 minutes, like in speaking part 2. Regardless, if you're talking for too long at all, the examiner will just like politely stop you, usually just saying like, thank you, and then like move to the next question. So don't even worry about the time. The examiner controls it all. And on that note, guys, just thinking about time and following the lead of the exam, I can assure you that IELTS it's a valid test. This, I mean, goodness, it's huge. Like millions and millions of people have taken this exam. It is so well researched and so well designed that you kind of have to put your trust in it. So what I mean is, on the listening test, for example, when the person on the CD, usually like a lovely British woman's voice, when the person on the CD is like, you now have some time to look at questions 5 to 8. So if you hear that, don't like skip ahead or look back at your answers, or, you know, students are always worried about not having enough time. Just follow what they say on the test. You gotta trust it. So all of our strategies, for example, like on the listening exam, it's all based around exactly what they tell you to do. So is it a monologue, or will the interviewer will answer you? Oh, ooh, good question. Marcos, thank you. So on the on the third part of the speaking test, IELTS does say it's like a conversation. You guys, it's not a conversation, okay? Do not ask the examiner any questions. It's awkward. They're not supposed to answer you. It's a one-way thing, okay? It's an interview, no matter what IELTS tells you or what your teachers have told you because they read whatever on the internet. Yeah, it's an interview, you guys. And that happens sometimes where students don't take it seriously enough. It is a formal situation, right? But some students get sort of like comfy, you know, during the test, and by the time part 3 rolls around, they're like, the advantages of air travel are that, you know, it's more comfortable than by car. Do you travel a lot or something? Don't ask the examiner any questions, okay? Just answer them. Let him or her move on. Can I take notes on the test? Mariana asked that. Let's see. Well, if in regards to the listening test, no, do not take notes on the listening test. That is a TOEFL strategy. That is an academic skills strategy. So if you're studying with someone that tells you to do that, that's like a red flag. This person does not know IELTS. What happens if you try and take notes? You're missing answers. You're not focusing on what you should be focusing on. So definitely no, do not take notes during the listening test. On the speaking test, the only chance you have to prepare with notes is in speaking part 2. So yes. Let's see. Louise says, are phrasal verbs considered? Oh, great question. Yeah, phrasal verbs are super tough, right? I'm sure, as you know, English language learners, they can be confusing, like keep up, keep out, keep at. I mean, they're all different definitions, right? So yeah, if you use phrasal verbs correctly, that does count towards that idiomatic language the examiner listens for. So yeah, definitely. Having said that, guys, the only way to ensure that you're going to use them correctly is by, in your vocabulary notebooks, have a very short list of, I would say, 6 to 8 phrasal verbs. That's it. Because you're not going to memorize more than that, and you're not going to be able to use more than that confidently or correctly. Because exam day is not the day to take risks. You should only use the vocabulary you're sure of. So don't put more in there that you don't need, right? So short phrasal verb list, about 6 to 8, I'd say is max. If you go to our website, IELTS.allearsenglish.com, we have some episodes about phrasal verbs, and also my YouTube channel, IELTS Energy TV. There's some good idiom videos on there.
Nice. I think Mara had a good question.
So yeah, if you don't understand the question, the speaking test, how do I proceed? That's fantastic. So this is, Lindsay and I like to talk a lot about turning things into opportunities, okay? And this is one of those examples. So if you don't understand the question, you need to learn like 2 or 3 interesting phrases for asking for repetition. It might be a podcast episode or it might be a YouTube video. You have to look. But for example, so if the examiner says something you don't understand, you could say something like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I did not catch your meaning. Do you mind repeating that? I mean, imagine that whole phrase that I just said. There's an idiom in there. I didn't catch your meaning. There's impressive sentence structure. So just in the way that you're turning this negative into a positive, you're sort of taking control of the situation, right? So you just need maybe just 2, because you're probably going to understand all of the questions. So let's say 2 interesting phrases for asking for clarification and asking for repetition. Bruno says, this webinar is the most fun that I have ever watched. Yay! Thank you, Bruno. Me too. Just kidding. Okay, let's see. Any other questions coming up? Yeah, keep posting your questions, guys. Anything about the exam. I promise you, I know the answers.
No big deal.
Cool. Ilya, do you feel like you know the exam well? Like, how familiar are you with IELTS?
Ilya Brodsky does not know anything about IELTS. I'm learning.
Did you just talk about yourself in the third person, dude? What?
Yeah, I did. So no, I don't. So as you guys know, like my focus 100% is helping you guys get awesome jobs in Canada. I don't know anything about IELTS, about immigration. That's not my area. So that's why we have these awesome partners like you, Jessica, to come in and talk about this stuff. I mean, I know the kind of basic. I knew that there was like an academic and a general, but like that little the extent. And like I know the scores people need to have in order to get you know, the immigration stuff. But I do know, you know, one thing I do know. I think the most important thing I do know is that IELTS counts a lot for express entry. As well as like it counts a lot for you going to a college. So if you guys are watching this and you haven't done your express entry yet, you know, if you're under 30 especially and you're a developer or designer, getting a high score in your IELTS really makes a big difference in your express entry score. So by getting that, your chances of getting over 450 in express entry go up exponentially. So they go up a lot. So yeah, I don't know if anyone out there, I mean, I'm sure you guys knew that that it was related to it. So I just want to kind of underline that score. And really what I think you said in the beginning, Jessica, about it's not about IELTS, it's about changing your life. And I think that's really important because, you know, it's kind of like IELTS is a hoop you have to jump through.
Exactly.
Kind of get to where you want to be, which, you know, for everyone here is about Louise, sorry, you know, it's about moving to Canada. But Louise is one of our VanHack Premium members. And we have 2 hours of interview practice every week for VanHack Links and Louise. I always tell him you have to be more vibrant in his answers because he has a very soft-spoken voice as a developer. So yeah,
I think
be like Jessica.
yeah, this is I'm gonna frame myself. This is the definition of vibrant. No, I'm just kidding. There's some good questions coming through. Let's see. How Rodrigo says, how impossible is it to score a 9? You know what? It's almost impossible, to be honest with you. You know, even native speakers that come in, they don't score 9s, to be honest with you, but that's mainly because they think, oh, I'm a native speaker, I don't have to prepare for this test. And of course their English is great, obviously, but in writing task 1, for example, especially on the academic, they don't know how to talk about these numbers, and they do really poorly. And then, like, on the speaking exam, maybe they don't fulfill certain requirements for the vocabulary because they don't use any, like, formal language in part 3 because they just take it too easy, right? They're too relaxed. So even for native speakers, it's tough to get a 9. Your English has to be seriously perfect to get a 9. But having said that, you guys, an 8 is not impossible. An 8 is very, very possible. If you look at the descriptors for an 8, in speaking and writing, you can still have some mistakes. Native speakers make mistakes all the time when we're talking. Like, that's fine. That's understandable. You can still have some mistakes. You can still I could still hear your first language accent. You could still use an idiom in an awkward way. Like, there are still some slip-ups allowed at an 8. So I explained the difference between a 6 and a 7, right? So what's the difference between a 7 and an 8? It's basically error density, okay? So 6, you're a fine student, but you still make lots of mistakes, but good for you, you're trying. A 7 is a student who has gone above and beyond what everybody else is doing at the language school or whatever. Like, this student has sought out native resources and engaged with the language on a level that a 6 hasn't. However, the 7 student is still making some mistakes. So that's good news. Like Leonardo says, you'd be happy with the 7. Well, this is for you. You could still make some mistakes. And an 8 is just, you're still really going for it. You have a wide range of vocabulary, but you just have, like, a lot of sentences are error-free. Okay? Some sentences still have mistakes. So an 8 is definitely within your reach for sure. A couple people have asked where they can practice the test. So yeah, that's a good question, you guys. Be wary of free resources, first of all, because I know as a materials creator, like, if I write a textbook or I write a test and I'm proud of it and I know it works, there's gonna be a charge for it. Like, this is proper material. You know what I mean? And be careful of the free stuff. Sometimes it's good. They're actually on exam. Let's see. Oh, I'll type it in. Keep forgetting I can type. There's a website called Exam. I have it on my wall here. My notes wall. IELTS exam.net. There's some good questions there for speaking and writing. There's a lot of good example questions. The listening and the reading tests, they're free. Sometimes the level is a little bit too easy, in my opinion, but they're fine for practicing the strategies. But guys, don't start practicing for the test until you know the strategies, okay? Because it's pointless. You know, like, you're not going to jump into a soccer game unless you've practiced passing, right? You're not going to, like, jump into a game without knowing how to dribble. I'm just talking about soccer today all the time. But it's an analogy that makes sense, right? You need to know what you're getting into. And if you just start doing practice tests without any strategy preparation, you're just going to be practicing wrong, and you're going to be sort of cementing these bad habits, right? And then they're more difficult to break later. And then you're not going to get the scores that you think you deserve, and your confidence will go down. So really just approach this in an intelligent way, right? Allow yourself a month of preparation before you jump into any sort of practice test.
Nice. Great stuff.
Louise says, using filler words would affect your speaking score. That's a great question. So if you are using them because you don't have the vocabulary, right? Like if you are really searching for a word, then that'll hurt your score because the examiner knows. You know, all the examiners are teachers. Like, I know what's happening in your head, and if you have the vocabulary or not. Also, if you use it like a crutch, like I do. I say like all the time. A lot of native speakers do. So if you use a crutch like, or some students say, all the time, if you're saying that in like every sentence, yes, it'll hurt you. However, if it's appropriate as to like what a native speaker would say, then it's fine. In fact, it makes you sound more natural, so it'll look good for your fluency score. And as far as like filler phrases, if you can't think of an idea, all the IELTS courses teach like the same phrases. Like, what's a silly one that an IELTS course teaches? Like, oh, wow, that's an interesting question. Let's see. These sort of like really robotic, like phrases. Again, guys, that's a 6 because that's what every other student is saying, right? So you need natural vocabulary. In our course, for example, we have a bonus, like the 10 natural phrases or something, and these are lists that I've put together that you can't find in any IELTS textbook or on any IELTS website, because all of those resources repeat each other. They just like copy each other over and over again. So yeah, just evaluate the resource as well. Let's see, so Tiago says, what's the best way to improve writing skills? How many paragraphs do I need? Okay, great. So you need to start with what the examiner wants. Okay, you need to analyze the test, like working backwards. So look at what your goals would be, right? What does the examiner want? And then work backwards from there. Learn a simple strategy for tackling writing task 1 if it's academic. For general, you need to know what details the examiner wants. For task 2, is it Thiago or Tiago?
Tiago.
I said that right? Tiago. Great. Said it right the first time. Tiago, good news. In task 2, you only need 4 paragraphs. And honestly, there's no time to write more. And I see IELTS teachers teaching like all these different outlines, like here's a 4-paragraph essay, here's a 5-paragraph essay, blah, blah. It's just such a waste of time. Guys, you only need to write 1 essay. Why are people learning like 5 different essay outlines? It's just silly. So yeah, 4 paragraphs, super straightforward. You just need like a simple outline. It's kind of like a math equation, right? Like opinion, topic, sentence, reason, examples, stuff like that. A simple outline to follow.
An algorithm for the
paragraph. Totally. I'm horrible at math, but I work it into my English teaching somehow.
People who are great mathematicians and developers with us.
I'm sure I could learn a lot from you guys. I'm not going to say anything else about math because I think I'll embarrass myself in front of this audience. Let's see. Jefferson says, could you give some tips for the listening part of the test? Yeah. So let's see. So simple strategies, for example, using the skills you already have, right? Being able to pick out keywords, being able to listen for specific information. So the first step would be to look at the question, underline keywords, and these keywords are usually verbs and nouns. These are special words that you can pick out. And then when you listen for them, you also have to be aware of listening for parallel expressions, because IELTS isn't always going to repeat the exact word you're listening for. Like, that's too easy. But it's just part of the practice, right? You get used to the system of listening for parallel expressions. And the answer is always next to the keyword, always, 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 in listening and reading. So before you listen, you need to predict what you're listening for, right? So my strategies for the listening and reading test are encouraging you to be an active student, okay? You can't be a person who sits there and waits for the answers to come to them. You need to use your brain. So before you listen, you predict an answer. Like, I need a number, I need a name, I need an adjective, anything you could predict. And then you're like primed, right? You're like ready for the answer to come to you. So yeah, those are a couple tips.
Awesome, Jessica. Thank you so much, guys. I just want to be cautious of Jessica's time. So we did allow 1 hour for this webinar, and I know that you guys have a lot of questions. So maybe we can take 1 or 2 more. But I'd also wanted to kind of talk about this special offer we have just for VanHack members for Jessica's online course. The three keys for a 7+ on the IELTS. So Jessica, maybe you can talk a little bit about this course and kind of the results you guys have been having with it, and then we can talk about the special discount that everybody on this webinar and the VanHack will receive.
Yay, discounts! Okay, so yeah, we worked so hard on this course, guys. So as I said, I taught IELTS and have been professionally involved in IELTS for a decade before I designed this course. So I took all of the activities that worked in class and all of the most simple strategies that I've developed. It's called 3 Keys IELTS because everything is broken down into 3 steps. Even the most difficult things on the test, like true, false, not given, and matching headings to paragraphs, I have boiled everything down into the most simple strategies. So they're easy to learn, and they're easy to memorize, and they're easy to practice. So we have 5 modules, 1 module for each part of the test. The writing module is hefty. It's the biggest because I think that's the most information you guys need. So that's the biggest part of the course. And then the extra 5th module is that anti-anxiety module that I spoke about earlier. And the format of it is first you get a video lecture with me. And then you get a PDF practice. You can download it like a worksheet, print it out if that's what you're comfortable with. And again, like, these are all activities that I've used with students for years, so I know what kind of results they get. It's all been tested thoroughly. And then after that, there's another video lecture with me where I go over the answers and explain them. So that's the format of the course. And then there are 2 practice tests included in the course as well. I did write those as well, and they're exactly the level of the IELTS exam, matching the difficulty of the questions, the vocabulary, the sometimes weird topics that come up on IELTS. So it's an exact mirror of what you'll see on test day. So there's that. And another thing I really like about our course is the closed Facebook group. So every student in our course is part of the Facebook group, and we interact with each other. They can ask me questions directly at any time, and I answer them like immediately. So you always have access to me. And then there are some extra classes as well, because we know that online learning can seem lonely sometimes. So that's why we do have live classes with me and with other students 3 times a month, mostly focused on speaking and writing. So I'm not sure where Elio went. He seems to have disappeared. So yeah, so that's our course. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions about our course? There's also the 30-day study plan and the 60-day study plan that I spoke about earlier. So you guys don't have to worry about organizing your time and finding your own resources. Everything is there. So for example, if on that study plan for the day, you have to watch a movie, it's not just like, go find a movie. No, I link everything back to IELTS. So you watch a movie and you record like 4 vocabulary words you didn't know before, and then I give you an activity to do with those. So everything's laid out. All of my experience has gone into this. I can summarize it by saying the motto of our course is simplify, practice, succeed. So that's why the feedback we've gotten from students has been incredible. And like I said, guys, I was expecting a lot of 7s for sure. And I've seen even more 8s, 8.5s than I even expected. So the feedback and the results have been incredible and like so exciting for me as a teacher to see this.
That's awesome, Jessica. Sorry, someone just came to the door here. I had to open the door. So,
I was like, and so Ilya is gone. What else can I say about the course?
You did a good job, staying on top of it. Thanks for that. Cool, guys. Well, maybe we can go a little bit over time. I don't know if it's cool, Jessica, but I just want to share with everybody the link. If you're interested in signing up for the course, there's a special VanHack price. So usually it's, I think, $197 US, and it's $147 for VanHack members. So if you guys want to check that out, just click on the link. I just broadcasted it there. And that you don't have to take that advantage of it today. That's actually available for you whenever you want. I know that Jessica has actually prepared an awesome bonus to help you guys with your speaking, which we'll be sharing with you guys during the VanHack Premium launch. I think someone asked about VanHack Premium earlier in the webinar, and I saw Guillermo said he already wants to join. So we'll be actually opening VanHack Premium for 10 days after the Van Hackathon on May 23rd. So you guys can check out or kind of get into VanHack Premium, and you'll also be receiving a bonus. So maybe Jessica, you can talk about that bonus for all the people who join VanHack Premium.
Yeah, so I made a short video bonus for you guys about the three ways you can impress the examiner. So again, our strategy, it all starts from what the examiner wants. So some of the advice I referenced today about like pronunciation and what sort of vocabulary you could use. So there's very specific strategies for the speaking test that you can implement immediately. It's not like go and study this for 5 hours. Like, these are things you can do right away in real time, like right now, to improve your score. So that's what that bonus is.
Well, I just realized I put the wrong link, guys. That was a link for people to join the webinar. Let me go grab the right link, and I'll put it in the chat. There's too many links. And this is a special link that was just created for us. So if you go to allearsenglish.com, you'll see the regular course for everybody, but you guys get a special one. So cool. Maybe we can take like 5 more minutes for any last minute questions. Jessica, what do you think?
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good. So especially if there's questions about the course, guys, if as soon as you purchase this course through this special link with a $50 discount, you get access immediately to the course. Like, you can start talking to other students in Facebook. You can ask me a question like right away if you want to. So, okay. So Jefferson says, does the course cover essay feedback? So there's a few ways we do this. One way is there's power hours. There are 2 power hours every month that are focused on writing and speaking. They are a small fee to enroll. It's like $12 US, and you get an hour with me and other students, and I give you very specific feedback on your writing and tell you exactly, usually it's like 2 or 3 very specific things that you need to do to improve your score. And often, guys, after this like 1 hour with me, half of it's speaking, half of it's writing, I'm able to pinpoint the exact things to raise your score by a whole band point. And it's happened before. Excuse me. I'm talking a lot today. We recorded like 4 episodes this morning as well. So I'm getting a bit hoarse. But yeah, so there is that option. There are also options for like further one-on-one classes with me where I could give you feedback. And Lindsay and I are so hands-on with this course that if you have specific requests, I can create a package for you. Like, another student was really worried about her writing, and so I read an example essay. And I came up with a specific package just for her that will improve her score. So like that involved emailing me 3 brainstorms and me giving her feedback, and then following that up with, 2 task 1 essays, blah, blah, blah. So there is that opportunity as well. Because Lindsay and I interact with the students in our course so directly, like we can create something that is more personalized to you. So that was a long answer to a short question, but yes, there is opportunity to get feedback on your essay.
Nice.
Oh, and also, guys,
sorry, go ahead.
Also, guys, if you post an essay in the Facebook group, then you'll get feedback from other students as well. So that's also an option.
Nice. That actually sounds a lot like VanHack Premium. We have like our Slack group where people can communicate and chat with us directly and with the other members, so similar to your Facebook group. And we do a lot of that one-on-one coaching and helping people prepare for the job hunt. So that's really cool. I think you guys, like, especially for even those people who are in VanHack Premium, I think that it's like a cool similarity. So I got the right link finally. Sorry about that. I was copying and pasting. For some reason, it wasn't copying the right link, but I have it now, guys. I'll also send this by email, of course, and it'll be on the VanHack page. And so if you guys want it, it'll just be just for like VanHack members. Yeah, I guess maybe a couple
I'll just
less
answer one more question here. Luana says, "How long is the course?" So you do get 6 months access to the course, so that's how long you have to do with it whatever you want. You could watch the videos a billion times, but the study plan is the strongest part of that organization. So there's the 30-day study plan and the 60-day study plan. Yeah, so if you are ever also curious about where you are in your studies and how long you should take, we also offer consults. And you could book that with Lindsay or with me. You could get in touch with us through Elia as well. And I could give you an idea of like how long I recommend you prepare for and what you should do with our study plan and our course. So yeah, I mean, there are so many options. That's also the biggest advantage, is that we're dynamic. Our course is dynamic. We're creating it just for you guys. And these other courses that, you could get online, they don't change it. It's the same course that they have been teaching for 10 years. It doesn't even reflect current changes in IELTS always, whereas I have the power to go in and add stuff to our course at any time if I notice something new on the test, right? So you're not going to get that in a lot of places. Nice.
That's awesome, Jessica. Well, I guess no matter what, guys, you should definitely listen to the All Ears English podcast. You'll definitely get a lot out of that. I think it's 245 or 75 episodes.
Yeah, we've recorded 276, and I think 250 have been published already. So we're a bit ahead.
Awesome. So that's fantastic, and I think it's really cool to see members of the VanHack community. I just actually wanted to say, the reason that you guys are seeing this webinar is because of so many VanHack members, so many VanHackers actually being part of the community over at All Ears English is a really cool overlap. And
it's awesome.
We decided to do this webinar to kind of combine forces and help you guys master the IELTS, and then of course that'll help you get a job in Canada and move here. So it's a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Jessica, for being here. I think I learned a lot, so I'm sure everyone else learned a lot too.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so maybe last time
to talk about IELTS.
How can people get in touch with you? I guess of course on your website, through the course of if they want more information. But is there anything else you kind of recommend as a last thing?
So yeah, go to our website to listen to our podcast, subscribe on YouTunes, subscribe on iTunes to the show, and also check out the YouTube channel. There are over 60 videos on there already. So that's a great resource. My time for students, honestly, I don't have enough time for students that aren't in our course, but if you do have a question about the course, then certainly email me. I'll put my email here. Jessica at allearsenglish.com. So if you have further questions or need to like even book a consult, anything like that, if you're not sure the course is for you, then I could give you an idea about that. So yeah, go ahead and send me an email.
Awesome. Cool. And again, guys, for those of you who joined VanHack Premium on May 23rd to June 2nd, you'll get a special bonus about how to ace the speaking part, which I think, I actually decided that Jessica gave me some options of which bonuses, should she create a bonus about speaking, listening, or I think something else was writing. But anyway, I chose speaking because I know that's something that we all, like, especially you guys from Brazil, need to focus on a lot, right? So like pronunciation, speaking, don't be shy. Your English is always getting better. So yeah, let's go out there and make that happen, guys. And just a quick last thing, we had 2 VanHack Premium members get jobs yesterday here in Vancouver, and one is going for a job interview tomorrow after an entrepreneur saw her portfolio through a Facebook post of ours. So it's really cool seeing like VanHackers having success, and we're also doing a lot with the remote jobs too. So if you are still in Brazil and you're looking to get a job in Canada remotely, that's something that we've been doing more and more of. And we have a special webinar about that for our Pro and Premium members on Thursday. And of course, I have to say the last thing is the Van Hackathon. It's coming up on May 20th. Which is crazy. It's like 2.5 weeks from now. I'm freaking out a little bit, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. We already have Shopify, Hootsuite, Broadband TV, My Best Helper, MuseFind, The Thinking Ape, My Green Space confirmed. And we're going to add probably a couple more companies to that list. So if you're looking to show your skills to a Canadian company, it's only $10 to join VanHack Pro. And you can be part of this awesome hackathon. First time it's ever happening. And we're just going to do a lot more. So if you join VanHack Pro, you'll have access to every single hackathon that we do from now on. Thank you, Jessica, so much for your time. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope it was as useful as I took a bunch of notes. We'll have this replay for those of you who are watching this in the future. Hello from the past. I will have this replay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun. We'll have this replay up soon, and so you'll be able to watch this again and kind of take notes if you haven't already. And Jessica, any kind of thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, guys, I know that you guys have really huge dreams, and you're obviously hard workers because you're committed to this dream of yours. So don't let IELTS stop you. This should be just like a small bump in the road for you guys. So yeah, I mean, you could definitely do it. It does take hard work, but I can see from your comments and your commitment that you could definitely get the scores you need.
Nice, awesome. And yeah, guys, to join again, Matthias is asking just to join VanHack Pro to be part of the VanHack. I just want to repeat that. And I agree. Like everyone here, you guys are running after your dreams or after your goals, and that puts you ahead, I think. So, yeah, we'll see you guys in Canada, or if you want to ever visit Portland, as long as you're not playing for the soccer team, everything's okay.
Yeah, go. Well, have coffee and ride bikes. That's what we do in Portland.
Yeah. I think we have that in common. That's awesome. Cool, guys. All right, well, I hope you guys are all having a great night, no matter where in the world you are. And we'll see you on the next VanHack webinar. Thanks so much again, Jessica. And check out the All Ears English IELTS course because, yeah, it's here to help. So, all right, that's it. Bye.
All right, cool. Bye, everyone.